The Idea Collective Retreat is coming in November, and it is your chance to meet a community of entrepreneurs that decided, you know what? Small business doesn't have to be so hard, because if we work with one another, we can get through the ups and downs of an average day, and we can get together and become better at what we do. So at the retreat, we're going to learn, we're going to connect, we're going to set our goals for 2022. It's going to be great. But you've heard me talk about that, but maybe you haven't met Susan Trumpler. She is one of the rock stars in the Idea Collective community. She's also one of the big sponsors for the retreat. Her business is Unstoppable Women in Business. And I am so excited to connect you with Susan because she's just the goods. And today we're going to talk about the two sides of sales. But before we do that, let's say hello. Susan, it's so great to see you. How you been?
Pat, I couldn't be better because I'm here with you, my hero.
Your hero. Well, it's great to see you. And every time we talk about sales, I learn something. And this concept you're going to share with us today, I'm really intrigued by the two sides of sales. I've never heard it said so simply. Can you talk about what the two sides of sales are and how you teach it?
Happy to do that. Pat, people get their knickers in a twitch about selling. They really do. They just get all balled up and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing or saying. And I don't know if I'm doing it right. And I think sometimes when you break it down to the simple steps, it just becomes something that's like, oh, okay, good. So here's what I mean when I see there's two sides to sales. Yes, you do need to know what to do. There's a process. There's skills that you have to create. There's the right conversation framework that you want to be able to lean into. But listen, you can look that up on Google, right? There's nothing you can't find on the Googles anymore. So the thing about generating revenue and being really good at sales isn't always about the skills and the processes. It's important. You got to have it. It's like table stakes. That's the one side. But the part that people don't think about very much that I find holds people back more than anything else is the other side of sales. And that is who you're becoming as a salesperson. And what I mean by that is, I don't know too many people other than people like myself who are sales coaches that went into business because they wanted to be a sales professional, right? No one starts their business going, woo, I get to learn how to sell. They kind of get into business and they have something they're passionate about that they want to do. And they're like, I'm going to help so many people and I'm going to make money and it's going to be so much fun. And then shortly after starting their business, it hits them between the eyes. They're like, I'm in sales. Oh my God, how did this happen? And they don't see themselves that way. As a matter of fact, they see themselves, Pat, the exact opposite way. They have the sales blueprint that is formed from the time they went into the car dealerships and they were sold down the river, like push, push, push. So they see themselves as, oh, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be that person. That's the second part of being in sales that you've got to get over and be able to see yourself and become someone who knows that you can influence people and sell with integrity and in a way that creates connected relationship and that you're adding value to people and they're willing to give you value back in the form of currency. So two sides of sales, the doing and the being, and you can't leave either one behind.
It's an interesting outlook. Because as you said, you can go on Google and find all the information you need on how to be a seller, how to do the sales process. But when you said who you are, you put it in an interesting way, who you're becoming. That sounds active and like it's a journey that never ends. Is that right? Or are you talking about a process where you get to a destination and now you're a salesperson?
I'm going to write that down because you said that beautifully. It is a journey and it never stops. I have been in sales for 20 years and I had to make a big shift when I went into selling me as opposed to selling what I was selling for a corporation, right? So even though I was very accomplished and I did well selling in corporate America, I had to become a different person and look at sales in a whole different way. when when I was responsible for selling me. That was a mind bender. It's like, oh my gosh, talk about having, uh, you just stumble on the fact that you don't want to brag. You don't want to be that person who's, boasting and beating their chest and saying, you need me. And so you have to become someone who truly believes that you have value and your value continues to evolve. And so does your being as you're generating revenue and sales. So it is active.
Yeah. And isn't it interesting that feeling is a part of this business operation? I don't have my mindset and my feelings get in the way of using Excel or balancing my budget or building a website. But this core business functionality, why are there so many feelings wrapped up in it?
Pat, there is nothing. There's not one other core function of your business that can create as much stress, anxiety, self-doubt. And it's all human nature. And that's one thing that I want people to understand is if you do feel uncomfortable, don't beat yourself up about it. It is literally, and almost everything that I do is based on neuroscience. And so what's happening is this is the only thing that we do that is putting us at risk. Our primitive brain is wired to keep us safe and to keep us in community because that's where we are safe. And when you are out there putting yourself on the line and selling yourself, what your old brain is telling you is get back in the cave. Are you kidding me? That is not safe. You are going to get rejected, and that is not safe. And so if you're not aware of what's holding you back, then what happens is you're procrastinating, you're shrinking, you're becoming less confident. Using Excel, there's no threat to your old brain on that. It's all logical stuff. That comes from the other side of your brain. It's very practical. But sales and putting yourself out there, all about what's safe and what's not.
There's a saying around small business, and I'm not saying it's a good one. This isn't one of those maxims that you want to live out for the rest of your day. But you hear people say all the time, well, I'm not a salesperson.
Oh.
Can anyone be a salesperson? Can anyone be good at this?
Okay, let me tell you, if you say you're not a salesperson, you will never become a salesperson. And if you can find a business that you can run without generating revenue, good luck. Go find it. Don't say that. I mean, if you're getting to the point where you have a team and you as the owner does not have to be out there generating revenue, that's one thing, right? But I'd have to say that team, whoever's leading that team, still needs you as the CEO to make darn sure that they are doing what they need to be doing. So everything runs downhill. And if you don't have the right mindset at the top, it's going to be really hard for your people underneath you to have the right mindset as well. So.
I'm sure it's not an uncommon thought, though, when people call you. So if someone's thinking that way or they want to be better at sales, how do they work with you and what do you do to them?
Yeah. I lock them in my sales vault. No, I'm kidding. Listen, here's the thing I know is that entrepreneurs, more than anyone else, are in a space where they're by themselves a lot and they're trying to figure things out. And there's not a lot of fresh input, right? Other than other people that are in business and they're chirping the same message to them. So it's like this cluster of, So how I work with people is I have something called the Success Collaborative. And it is all about creating the strategy. So we start with the doing. All right. We create the strategy. What do you need to be doing? How do you need to be saying it? What's your activity looking like? What's your sales and marketing strategy? We put all of that logical component together. And then I invite them into the collaborative for 6 months with me, where they're with a group of other people all on that same journey. And I'm guiding them and supporting them each step of the way as they implement the plan. And as that other side raises up and says, I can't do that. I've had that on my calendar to do. I have Friday at 2. I'm going to make 10 sales calls. And when a time comes up, I shrink back and I don't do it. And that's when we get into the, who do you need to become? And how do you need to be thinking in order to be successful in doing the things that are a little bit harder? So you get support and you get a lot of knowledge.
And if someone wants to know more about the Success Collaborative, where do they find information on that?
Yeah, they go to www.unstoppablewomeninbusiness.com. I know it's a long URL, but it's easy to remember. And at the bottom of the page where it says work with me, there's all the information about the Success Collaborative.
So make sure to look out for Susan because she's going to be at the retreat. And I have to ask you, why are you a part of the retreat? You're a valued member of the Idea Collective community, but you stepped up as a sponsor. You're going to speak a couple of times. We're so grateful that you're coming all the way from the East Coast where you're flying in from, which is super exciting. But why did you make the decision to be so involved with the retreat?
Yeah. You'd have to be in the Idea Collective to understand what a silly question that, or not be in the other way around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you create an environment that is so exciting to be a part of and collaborative itself, right? So I am a collaborator, and I find coming into the collective, I find my people to support me. And so it is a natural extension of the value that I get from the group by coming up, meeting them in person, getting into a think tank type of atmosphere. And I'm also someone who is, if I'm going to do something, I'm not going to be at the back of the room. I love being at the front of the room. I'm a leader. It's part of my DNA. And so that's why I chose to be a sponsor, because I knew you were putting something really good together. And I wanted to be on the forefront of it, not just a passive observer.
Well, I know we couldn't do it without you. And I'm so excited that the folks that are coming to the retreat get to meet you for 2.5 days. I mean, we're talking having a cup of coffee or having a nightcap together. You're really going to get to know everyone that attends. So if you're intrigued by this Susan Trumpler person, trust me, people, you need to get to know Susan, and she'll be with us all weekend, even leading a discussion circle on sales. So you can ask your questions about sales and become a great salesperson by meeting Susan. The retreat is in November, as you know, and we'd love to have you grab a ticket. Check out the website, smallbizretreat.com. That's smallbizretreat.com. Susan Trumpler, great to see you, my dear, and I'll see you in November.
Thank you. I cannot wait. See y'all there.